Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. There were 30 teams playing tonight, 15 games. I'm not going to go into all of them. I just don't have time for that. I picked out a few that I thought were in particular interesting. If I don't talk about your favorite team, let me know your biggest takeaway in the comment section below so you can keep the others posted. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. And let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with Atlanta versus Milwaukee. The Bucks caught their first L in this one after looking almost unbeatable through the early going. However, eventually not having Chris Middleton and Pat Connaughton was going to catch up with them. And in this one, they shot just 13 of 40 from three. Couldn't buy a bucket a lot of times. Giannis still put up a monster performance by most people's standards, 25, 7, and 2. But by his standards, it's kind of a whatever performance. They're going to be fine. Eventually, they were going to lose a game, but all in around, the Bucks still look like one of the best teams in the league. But the team I really want to focus on are the Atlanta Hawks. They were one of the most interesting teams to me heading into the season, of course, making the massive blockbuster Dejounte Murray trade, dealing 3 first-round picks in Gallinari, and I went on record before the season saying that I wasn't sure how they were going to fit together. To me, it felt kind of clunky having a guy in Dejounte who has never been particularly a great shooter, alongside Trae Young, who is a very ball-dominant player. How are they going to learn to play off-ball with each other? Should they have prioritized maybe like a different wing or like a different big, with Clint Capella being a bit on the decline? However, it's looked really good so far. They're now 7-3 with this win, and they got the win tonight over the undefeated Bucks without Trae Young. They were, of course, led by Dejounte Murray, who had a monster game with 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists to go with 3 steals on 11 of 24 shooting. And on the season, he's been phenomenal as a whole, averaging 22 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 8.1 assists, and 2.6 steals, while shooting 36.4% from 3. That's the big thing for me. Right now, he's doing everything you wanted from him next to Trae Young. He's getting steals, he's getting in the passing lanes, playing good defense, playmaking, being another guy that can create for others alongside Trae, but also he's knocking down his threes, which was one of the main reasons why I was a bit worried about this pairing. When you've got a guy in Trae Young who's able to command so much of the defense, you need Dejounte to knock down threes at a consistent clip, and right now, he's doing exactly that. He's also allowing them to win games without Trae Young. If Trae Young didn't play in this game and they were the same teams last year, no Dejounte Murray, the Hawks probably lose by like 30 in this game. They wouldn't have stood much of a chance because without Trae Young, they didn't have a high-level playmaker, someone that could take over in big moments. Trae Young has always been that guy, but bringing in a second fiddle alongside him in Dejounte Murray completely changes the dynamic of the team. If Trae Young's off the court, you still have a high-level playmaker, you have someone who can create his own shot too, and now he's consistently knocking down threes. He's doing basically everything you need to kind of step in when Trae Young's off the court, or in this case, didn't play in the game. It's been a way better fit than I thought it would be early on so far. Now, there still are some issues, mainly with Trae Young. It seems like he's really trying to adapt to this new role. He's kind of out of sync. He's still averaging 28.2 points per game, but he's shooting really bad. He's shooting just 38% from the field and 30.6% from 3. He's still been pretty good overall in the season, and I do expect those numbers to come way up once he gets more adjusted to this role and kind of finds his rhythm as an off-ball player, and that's part of what makes the Hawks so scary. They're 7-3 with Trae Young putting up tour-date shooting numbers on most nights. When he gets back to his usual self, it's going to be terrifying for the rest of the league. They have looked way better than I anticipated so far, and they're doing it in a very interesting way. They've been middle of the pack both offensively and defensively, being ranked 12th and 14th in those categories respectively, but the way that they're really winning games is they're taking care of the ball. Having 2 high-level playmakers and ball handlers in Dejounte and Trae Young allows them to really not commit many turnovers. Right now, they're number 1 in the league in assist-to-turnover ratio. They have the least opponent points off of turnovers too. They're stopping teams in transition. They're basically not letting the other team get these steals. It's just not happening, which is huge for a team that isn't looked at as one of the best defensively. If you can prevent transition opportunities or just continue to capitalize on your offensive possessions, it goes a long way to you being successful. Also, while I don't think the defense is going to get much better, the offense I still believe could be a top 5 offense in the league. John Collins right now is shooting just 25% from 3. I believe he's going to get that number up. He shoots like 34% for most of his career. I think he's going to get somewhere back to that number. Trae Young, like we talked about, his efficiency efficiency, I do believe, will rise back to his usual standards, which goes a long way. And they also haven't had Bogdanovic yet, one of the better scoring bench players in the entire NBA. Then you have AJ Griffin, who I believe should get more minutes, and hopefully this game will bring him those opportunities, because he had 24 points on 10 of 15 shooting. And while he's looked at by most people as just a 3-point specialist, he shot just 2 of 6 from 3. 8 of his shots were not 3-point attempts, which I believe speaks to how much more versatile his game is than people give it credit for. He also had 3 steals. He was really solid defensively. He looks like a player that could fit into this team seamlessly, so I hope that Nate McMillan gives him what he deserves and gives him those opportunities. But between all of those numbers, I think they could be a top 5 offense, and if they just stay around middle of the pack defensively, they continue to limit turnovers, this Hawks team looks incredibly dangerous in the early season. Next, I want to talk about Trailblazers versus Heat. Portland just somehow keeps finding ways to win. They now had another buzzer-beating game winner in this one with Josh Hart nailing a 3 as time expired. I think that's their second buzzer-beater win and like their 3rd or 4th game winner this season, all of which have not come by Damian Lillard's hand, which is the craziest part. If I told you that stat, you'd probably expect, oh, Dame has hit a couple sidestep threes that call it game or whatever. No, that hasn't been the case. It's the other guys doing it. Josh Hart, like I mentioned, hitting that 3. Jeremy Grant had that shot against Phoenix the other day. He had that game winner against, I believe it was the Lakers, where he ran inside and scored on a scoop layup. Anthony Simons had like that running fading hook kind of shot. They are finding ways to win, and now they continue to rise up. They're, I believe, 3rd now in the Western Conference with this win. They're better than I thought they were. I might make a whole video on them. If you want to see that, go ahead and let me know, because they have won some really weird games. Jeremy Grant had a really solid game in this one with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Josh Hart, who had the game winner, had 12, 9, and 8. Dame had 19, 3, and 6. Simons had 25 points. They're a really all-around balanced attack, and they've impressed the hell out of me. The Heat, on the other hand, fall to 4-7 on the season. This just isn't a very good team at the moment. I don't know how they're going to turn this thing around. It feels like they need more players, more bodies. Like a Victor Oladipo coming back isn't going to solve their issues. I don't really know what they do. Jimmy Butler has been fine on the season. He had 16, 4, and 7. Bam had 16, 5, and 3. Lowry had a pretty good game with 15, 7, and 8. They just can't seem to find ways to get wins. Then we had Warriors versus Kings with Golden State stopping their skid with a 3-point win over Sacramento, led of course by Steph Curry, who had a monster performance, the best game of the night. He had 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on 70% shooting. He's been so dominant to start the season, which he has to be because a lot of his supporting cast isn't helping much. In particular, the bench continues to be a problem. I'm again going to read you the plus minuses of the bench players and then the starters. In a 3-point win, keep that in mind, they won by 3 points. The Warriors bench, Anthony Lamb, -7, Jordan Poole, -11, Jonathan Kuminga, -22. I believe Ty Jerome was around like -20 as well. While the starters, Steph Curry in a 3-point win was a +20. Klay Thompson +10, Looney +8, Draymond Green +19, Wiggins +16. It is such a massive drop-off when the bench comes in versus the starters. I just, once again, don't know how a team that relied on their depth so heavily last season found a way to let it all go. Then you have the Kings. De'Aaron Fox continues to play phenomenal basketball, the best hoops of his career. He had 28 points and 6 assists. Malik Monk had 24 points. Sabonis had a 19, 14, and 6 double-double, but he shot just 40%, and he hasn't been great on defense either. This Kings team just has not impressed me whatsoever, although I will say they got kind of screwed at the end of this one. Kevin Huerter went up for a 3 and very, 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 very clearly got fouled by Klay Thompson on the attempt. However, no foul call was made, and so the Warriors walk out of here with a dub. Then we had Mavs versus Nets, which came down to the wire. Kevin Durant and Luka dueled all night, and it came down to Kevin Durant at the end of the game to win it. He got fouled down 2 on a 3-point attempt. All he had to do was sink all 3 free throws to give them the win, and heading into that attempt, I believe he had made 51 free throws in a row. He made the first, missed the second 2 in a row after starting the season perfect, like 50 of 50. It's just a really tough way to lose. On the game as a whole, he was really, really good. He had 26, 4, and 4. Other guys, Ben Simmons returned to the rotation tonight, and he came off the bench after dealing with that injury. Was once again not much of a factor. He had 3 rebounds, 3 points, and 2 assists in 15 minutes. He also got dropped by Luka. Luka did not make the bucket, but we'll still go ahead and talk about it. While Luka might not have made that shot, he did drop 36 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on 50% shooting, so we'll cut him a bit of slack on messing up the highlight. He's just been on another planet offensively. There's not a single player in the world that can touch what he's doing on a night-to-night basis on the offensive end. He has completely carried the Mavericks night in and night out. It's been incredible to watch. He is truly doing something historic at the moment. In Celtics versus Grizzlies, Jason Tatum continues to look like an MVP caliber player in a huge win for Boston. He dropped 39 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists with 2 blocks on 48% shooting, playing great defense, just continuing his amazing start to the year. Jaylen Brown had 21 points, but also had 7 turnovers, and it felt like he was continuously forcing his shot in this game. He's got to kind of slow down, let things come to him more naturally. Not one of his better games so far this year. Meanwhile, Marcus Smart had his best game of the year with 15, 7, and 12. He was all around dominant. On the Grizzlies side of things, John Morant had another great game with 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists on 41% shooting. Desmond Bane had another solid game with 19, 5, and 5. It just wasn't enough. Finally, we had Knicks versus Timberwolves with Julius Randle tying his career high with 8 threes in a win over Minnesota in blowout fashion. He had 31 points in total. Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett also both had really solid performances. Great game from that trio of guys. And on the other side, Minnesota continues to disappoint. Anthony Edwards and D'Lo shot a combined 9 for 26. Karl Anthony Towns, meanwhile, shot just 12 shots, shooting 9 of 12. He also had 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. He should have gotten involved more. They're still kind of seeming to figure out that offensive hierarchy, who should get the ball and when. They didn't have Gobert in this game, but so far the Timberwolves have been one of the most disappointing teams for me. Those are all the games I really want to go into. I'm going to highlight some of the other performances though real quick. Paolo Banchero and Jalen Green both had 30 points in a game against each other, which the Rockets did end up winning, getting their second win on the season. Miles Turner dropped 37 points in a win over the Pelicans, a ridiculous performance from him. Embiid looked back to form as the Sixers dominated the Suns, getting a massive win for their momentum. The Jazz got another win over the Lakers, blowing them out by 23 points. Russ looked pretty good once again off the bench. AD played solid, but not having LeBron James and just all around not being a very good team, they couldn't stop the Jazz, who are now the first seed in the Western Conference. And finally, the Clippers got a huge comeback win over the Cavaliers where they seemed doomed, and now they've won 4 out of their last 5 games, completely flipping their momentum. Those are all the things I want to talk about. I know there were other games too, but I just don't have time. It's already going to be a pretty long video, I think. So go ahead and, like I said at the beginning, let me know your biggest takeaways from your team's games in the comment section below, and also leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these uploads. Be on the lookout for a couple videos in the coming days, even though there won't be a recap tomorrow because there are no games to recap. With that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one safe back.